Welcome to our latest Find Your Future podcast episode. This episode has been inspired by the number of students I've worked with over the last 5 years that I've been Careers Advisor who've had an absolute passion to pursue pathways in either the arts or sporting arenas. As I always tell the students, if we didn't have young people with these types of dreams, we would not have professional singers or dancers, sporting stars, actors or musicians. These are pathways, though, that can have their difficulties, namely fierce competition, only certain opportunities being available, and sometimes very well-meaning people in our lives not being very supportive of such pursuits. Today, we are lucky enough to have two guests who are absolute superstars in the sporting and arts arenas, respectively. I have great pleasure in introducing Aneka Davis, who is a current staff member and parent of Ryan Catholic College, and Sarah Murr, who is a past student of Ryan and currently living a fabulous life in Melbourne. Their achievements in their respective fields are astonishing, and I can't wait to talk through all of their wonderful opportunities and experiences with them. So Sarah and Aneka, welcome to Ryan's Find Your Future podcast, and thank you very much for giving up your time to be part of our podcast. We really do appreciate all that you're going to share with us, over the next little bit of time. I would love to start by both of you talking through your achievements because they're huge, and we just want to set the scene. So I think if we start with your achievements, that'll be a great trampoline into the rest of our podcast. So Aneka, I might start with you. Let us know all of those wonderful achievements that you were part of in the sporting arena.
No worries. Firstly, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's a really cool concept. I have played basketball all my life. Leading into being a teacher, I've now played in 2 Olympic Games. So I played in the 2004 Olympics in Athens, which was a very cool experience, being the birthplace of the Olympics, and then 2008 in Beijing. So 2 very amazing experiences, and it was a dream come true. So I dreamt of playing in the Olympics, watching it as a little girl. So to have that opportunity was something special. I've played in the won a silver medal for Commonwealth Games playing basketball for New Zealand. And that was in 2006 in Melbourne. Again, really special experience being able to play in front of family and friends and in my hometown at the time. So have played at that really high level, have played in the WNBL for over 200 games, most of which were at the Townsville Fire. So that's the reason I am in Townsville, I guess. I moved up to play and loved the place, so stayed there. Played a lot of my WNBL career for Townsville, started playing in Melbourne, so some of the clubs down there, Melbourne Tigers, Dandenong Rangers. So that's probably my highest level achievements. I'm now coaching, so...
Yeah, that highest level is pretty high. I actually feel a bit special sitting in a room with an Olympian. So Sarah, we might throw over to you now, and just can you talk us through all your achievements to date?
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say the same thing. I feel a bit honoured to be on the line with an Olympian. And if you wouldn't mind, always give me that introduction. That is a lovely way to,
anytime
to be introduced. Yeah. So I graduated Ryan in 2011 and then went on to study at the Queensland Conservatorium, getting my Bachelor in Music, and then went straight into working professionally, touring the world with Les Mis, which was, I'm a little girl from Townsville. That dream coming true so early on in my career was... You just never know in the arts. You never know. Everyone's journey is so different. So I was very lucky to go straight into working. So I toured with Les Mis for 3 years and then have sort of just been working professionally for the past 10 years. I was in the production of Shrek the Musical that toured Australia just before COVID hit, which shut us down for a little while, which was crazy. And recently I was in the Australian cast of Anne Juliet, which toured around Australia and went to Singapore. And then I was in the Australian production of Hadestown. So if you're a musical theatre nerd, I bet you'll be screaming at all them. And if you're not, they're really cool.
They are absolutely really cool. I can attest to that. And are you in a production at the moment, Sarah, or have you just finished one?
Yeah, I finished Hadestown
Yeah.
in July, and I've just been doing some corporate gigs and auditioning for a million things, back on the hustle, you know?
Yeah, fantastic. Actually, while we're just on that point where you mentioned COVID, obviously we realise that for a lot of our sporting and art superstars, like COVID, really had an impact that no one was expecting. For you, in terms of that being your livelihood, what was that impact?
I mean, I'm sure like everyone, it was just really unexpected. I mean, to explain it, I was literally performing in a musical in Melbourne on the Sunday, and then that Sunday night, everything was shut down, and I actually ended up coming home to Townsville to be with the family and to work. But a lot of us went online. We're so lucky that we have access to it. So we did online concerts, we did fundraisers. But yeah, it really was, I don't know, it was very strange going from a fully functioning industry that just sort of disappeared overnight.
And probably lucky too that you were able to get back to Townsville in time before all those lockdowns happened down south. We had a little bit more freedom here. Those lockdowns weren't as intense.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was very lucky to sort of escape up north because a lot of my friends went through it. That's for sure.
And obviously, Aneka, for you, you were a little bit luckier in that sporting career had ended. You had moved, you were in your teaching role and things like that. So obviously for you, COVID, obviously from a professional teaching perspective, it had an impact. But that sporting career, it was already finished.
It was, but I have a lot of friends that were still playing and coaching at the time, and it was a real challenge, especially for the female athletes. I think we ended up having a bubble for the WNBL that was in Townsville. So that was good that, we still got to watch some of the basketball, and Queensland at the time was able to do that, I think, for the NRL as well as the WNBL. But, yeah, it was just a surreal thing to think about now. But, we made it work, I guess. And, I do say that for female athletes because they're at the time they've got families they have to consider as well, and bringing them into the bubble. And so it was a big challenge for the league, but, we got through it, I guess.
That's right. We all make it work, don't we?
Yeah.
Look, and again, I'll just say, just astounding sitting here listening to all of the achievements of the both of you. And I know, from a college perspective, just so proud of the both of you, in terms of the lucky who we have as alumni, who we have as staff and parents. We're just so blessed as a college, to have those sort of people sitting amongst us. I feel a little bit mediocre sitting here listening to all that. Now, tell me both, obviously we've talked about those achievements, but what was going on for you in, say, your year 10, 11, 12? What was the build up to that? Where was it starting for you? And Sarah, I might throw to you first on this one.
It's so interesting, and I find this conversation so interesting to talk about because pursuing this career, obviously people are scared for you, and they always told me you need to have a backup plan. But I am a stubborn girl, and I always told them, no, I know what I'm going to do. Even, having to do all the career stuff in grade 10, 11 and 12, they really did push me to have something to sort of be a backup plan. And I was very strong on, no, I'm going to make this. I've always wanted to do this. And I'm glad that I followed that. I appreciate all the advice, of course, having a backup plan. But yeah, I don't know. I just always sort of knew it's what I was destined to do, sort of.
And so in 10, 11, 12, were you taking particular subjects at school? Were you involved in the art scene of Townsville outside of school as well?
Oh, definitely. I think all of my electives, bar one, were in the creative. And we are so lucky at Ryan to have the accessibility for it all. I think I did film and TV, drama, music, and then I did textiles on the side just to something else, But I was a part of both NQOMT and the Choral Society, which are the two big musical theatre societies in Townsville. So I had a busy schedule, I'll tell you that much.
I can imagine. And it's interesting there we talk about the backup plan too, because I think, backup plan can have a really positive connotation to it, or a little bit of a negative one. And I always go in with that idea of, we can talk about backup plans, but they really are the backup plans. They're not about, plan A is not going to work. It's about you put everything into plan A and you give it your all. But just for some reason, if something did occur, you know there's some other options there. But, it's about, no, I'm going to go for plan A. It is the most important thing to me and I want to succeed at that and I want to see that to fruition.
Yeah, and you have to sort of fully commit. Like I was doing singing lessons, dancing lessons, acting lessons, and of course it costs a lot and I was very grateful that my parents supported me through it. But just on what you were saying then, Nicole, one of my favorite sayings, and this is advice that I give to young people as well, if there's anything else that you would rather do or if there's anything else that you can see yourself doing, do that, because being in the arts is really hard. There's a lot of sacrifices that are made. So that's like that's a line that I use quite a lot, where it's like, if there is something else that you're passionate about, do that, because the arts will always be there. But if you go all in and it doesn't work, that's hard to come back from.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Aneka, for you, what was your your high school years looking like in terms of your basketball?
Yeah, I was very much similar to Sarah in that I had a packed schedule as well. So by grade 11, the end of grade 11, the WNBL switched to a summer season. So I went and played WNBL by the end of grade 11. So that was the highest competition available in Australia. I was living in regional town at the time, so I would travel back and forth, and my parents, super supportive, but were always very much, you just got to keep these studies up. We're finishing grade 12, we're going to finish strong. And but by that time I knew I wanted to play basketball and this is what I wanted to do. So everyone, same thing, the backup plan and whatnot. But I made the decision to move out in grade 12 to friends who was also my coach, but I had really good friends in the basketball team, into Melbourne. So I switched schools in grade 12 to follow this dream and to be able to play WNBL and finish my studies without the extra travel. I was trying to make it easier for myself, I guess, and to be able to have that success. So it was hard. It was a really hard decision to move out. But it was something a bit like what Sarah says. I knew I wanted to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to succeed at both. I'm going to succeed in grade 12, do the best I can, give myself the best opportunity to make those decisions. So it was difficult, but I think, like we sort of talked about, you get it done, and I think those people that have that drive to be able to make these careers, they do what they can, and they get it done. In grade 12 then I had the same conversations with parents and coaches and friends. You have the backup plan, and I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do apart from play basketball. And so it was a few things. The subjects I took were fairly general subjects. I had the thought of education in my mind, but I knew I also wanted to travel the world, and basketball was doing that for me at the time. I was playing for New Zealand and going all these cool trips to America, around the world, trying to squish that in for studies. I remember going to Disneyland and then having to come home and set a grade 12 exam, which I was doing in grade 11. So I had the worst headache, but, we had to make it work. I think with that though, with going into grade 12 and having the backup plan, I think in the end I took the gap year. I went to university and started a business degree. I lasted a semester. This is just not me. Went to a gap year, but sat behind a desk while I was trying to, earn some money. And I'm like, this is not me either. I can't do this a 9 to 5 behind a desk. And I'm like, what am I going to do? So with that gap year, I figured out I didn't want a backup plan, but I wanted something to complement what I was doing. And I went back to education and thought, this is something I can do anywhere in Australia. I can teach anywhere. I could teach anywhere in the world if I wanted to, I guess. But it's also a really fabulous degree to have to go towards coaching and things like that within that sporting arena. So I went back into, after that year, into education. And I knew I wanted to get some studies done because I felt like if I left it too long, I wouldn't. So, it was a real tough situation to be in, like to try and get the studies done back then as well, like trying to juggle going away for the Olympics, but the university saying, no, you need to do this. And I don't know, I do remember having at the time in Melbourne, the Richmond Football Club, there, and they were at the university, and they were, you know, doing their games, trainings, whatever, and the university being super flexible, and I'm having to beg, borrow and steal from each university lecturer. Hey, I'm going to the Olympics. Can you please, you know, help me out with like a deferment, or can I have this? And online study wasn't a thing. So there's way more opportunities now, I think, for the kids coming through with online versions if they want to continue studies. So my story is a little bit different, but
I think, you know, what you can see for both of you is that very hard decisions being made, but that passion is the driving force. This is what I want. This is what I want to achieve, and I will sacrifice and I will do what I need to. You know, both at the very least, both of you knowing relocations, that's just the start of it. And having to move away, obviously, from, you know, networks and your supports being there with you in person, and then all of the other sacrifices and hard decisions that come from that as well. In terms of your mindset, like, you know, you've both, you know, tapped into that a little bit. What would you say is the biggest part of your mindset, or for, you know, other students as well, that really needs to be focused and on point, you know, for them achieving their dreams?
Oh, I'll go first. I'm just popping in here on the line. I think it's the self-belief for me. I think you need to really back yourself, because there will always be people who, you know, think, oh, you're not going to make it. That's just life, isn't it? But also the doubt creeps in of, can I do this? That's always going to be there. So I think if you have real self-love and like really work on it, because it's important, I think you're kind of unstoppable. If you can walk into a room and audition, or if you can walk into a room and, you know, play that game that you do, Aneka, like I think everything else is easier.
That's a really great point. Would you agree, Aneka, with that?
yeah, absolutely. I think your mindset is you know, to be there. If you want to be there, you're going to be there. You need to not think otherwise. And I think I remember it was probably just being young, but thinking, no, I'm going to do this. Like, there is no other question. And I think that was my mindset at the time. It's what I wanted to do. But listening to the sensible people in the background, you know, saying backup plan. But for me, it was like, I'm going to have this to help my plan succeed as well. So, but always, I guess, having that might be a bit different to Sarah, but with female athletes, like, it is a little bit different in terms of, you know, what we get paid and things. So I always had in the back of my head, you know, I'm one injury away from not being able to have this, or, you know, what do I do after I've finished basketball? Because it is such a short time, I can really be involved as a player. So I did have that, and that's what education did for me. It helped me think, well, if I want to coach at the end of my career, that's how I stay in the game. Yeah. So I guess it might be a little bit different to what Sarah's saying with the arts. I guess you can have that prolonged career with sport. You only get a certain time, I guess, of being, you know, healthy enough and being able to have those opportunities. So for me, I think I was gung-ho in doing this, but knowing I'd only have a short real chance of playing at the highest level too. So my opportunities were there to play in the Olympics. I'm going to take it, because I might only have 10 years, 8 years, something like that, of playing at a high level.
Actually, Sarah, I wouldn't mind throwing to you on that point a little bit too. Like, definitely what Aneka's saying about, you know, a sporting life, it does only have a certain amount of time to it. Do you feel like in your experiences that, you know, we do hear a little bit in the media around, particularly women, sometimes in the arts, feeling that there's a certain threshold, and then after that the roles start drying up a little bit and things like that. Do you see that in your world?
Oh, definitely. I also, like, hearing you talk about that, Aneka, just like made my heart beat a little bit, thinking that you have such a time frame. Like, how amazing that you got to do that. Sorry, I was just fangirling. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've currently, right now, you know, I'm 31 now, and there are times where I'll go in for an audition and they don't know what to do with me. I'm either too young or too old. And sometimes it's hard to hear that a lot. You go, you know, I feel, you know how you always feel young. I still feel 18. But there's such a pressure on also looking a certain way in this industry. You know, there are some roles that are just, that's the way they've always been. It's always been a tall, blonde, you know, thin person, or it's always been a person of color in this role. It's very, like, specific. So yeah, I would say there is definitely like pressure on thinking about a time frame, but there is also no guarantee. Like, for example, I booked my first professional show, Les Mis, which was, the highest of highs. And then I had 2 years of no work because the roles weren't right, or the shows that were auditioning, there just wasn't anything for me. So it's same, but different, I think. It's, yeah, if that makes sense.
And I think for both of you too, it's about saying, we know our dream, we know what we want to follow, but there's a reality to it as well that we need to be aware of.
Yeah, that seize the moment type thing. My opportunity's here. I'm going to take it. But I think now, like, you've got the kids today have that opportunity. I think that that to be a mature age student or to go back online and studies as well, I think is also a massive opportunity for these kids. Like, we didn't have that. I didn't have that opportunity to go online. So that was probably one thing COVID's done well with, for our the kids that want to follow these careers. So you can do study online and, travel and play basketball all around the world. There's massive opportunities for kids to play in the NCAA college system now. So, and that's changed. So it's a slightly different concept, I guess, now that money's involved and that the NIL deals and that these kids can make a career out of it, so they can go make a lot of money playing college basketball, get an education, and then they're set up for life to start with. Whereas the other way, when I was going through it, thinking I go to college, I'll get my education paid for, but then then what do I do? So, I couldn't play professionally, couldn't do anything because the college system was so strict.
Yeah. There's so much more available. You can almost do both at the same time now.
Now, yeah, it is a really good opportunity. So that's where I start to think more on the side for the kids coming through. Take the opportunities and you can make it work. There's other workarounds now, Education's more flexible, people are more flexible.
Yeah, no, and I say that to the students all the time. That dream you've got, go for it. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't quite work out. It's not quite what you thought it was going to be. Then you'll know, or who knows where else it can take you. And I suppose a little bit of what we were talking about before, the other thing I always tell them in terms of that mindset is don't take yourself out of the race. There's enough people you'll come across in life who either intentionally or unintentionally try and take you out of the race. Don't take yourself out of the race. Yeah. You've got to be there backing yourself because you do have those other challenges as you go through.
I was just thinking, I had a friend who we started university at the same time, and she became a doctor and I became a teacher. So my degree took that much longer, but I joke my education degree took as long as her doctorate, but that's just an example of making it work, I guess, and working around. But yeah, but definitely, as you said, some really good pathways now with that online learning makes it a lot easier. I know we've touched on it a little bit already, but I suppose I'd love the both of you to talk about, did you feel any real pressure not to follow those dreams? And I do want to preface that by saying we know it would be from very well-meaning people in your lives where that concern was coming from love and care for you. But yeah, did you ever feel that, or getting that message, I suppose, of these dreams that they're too unpredictable, they're too unstable, and trying to persuade you down safer paths? And Sarah, I might jump to you first.
And it was always from people that are coming from love, which is, you understand. See, I was lucky that, like, within my family unit, they all, I think they knew they couldn't stop me. But it was actually more sort of like care from the school and care from my teachers, always sort of being like, yes, but. And I appreciated it. I really did. But yeah, no, I think for me it was just very much so like, I have to do this. And if I fail, then I fail, but I have to have tried. So I appreciate it. I'll do the classes because I want to pass. I don't want to get my year 12. But that's sort of my story. It's not that interesting there. Sorry.
Oh no, but it's good to know that you're again, that mindset kicks in to go, I appreciate what you're telling me. I understand what you're telling me, but I'm still going for plan A, and I'm giving it my all for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Aneka, what about you? Did you have any people around you that were a little bit worried about you following your basketball?
Not really. It was very much similar to Sarah. I had a great support system at home. I just had mum in the background saying, you know, might need a backup plan or something along those lines. And we spoke about that, how I changed it to be more something that would complement it. But I had a really good support. Coaches were support. Schools were supportive. I think just for me it was a bit more of the unknown from people. So the teachers didn't really know, can I play basketball as a profession, or and so it was more me explaining to the university lecturers, I want to do this, but I need to do this first, or I need to have this, you know, this part of my life is what I do. So trying to get people on board, I think it's a bit more well known now. I think people, there's, you know, social media, there's a lot more information going around, whereas I was just a kid from the country who wanted to, you know, play WNBL or play in the Olympics. And like, yeah, everyone wants to play in the Olympics. I'm like, no, but I really want to. I can do this, you know. So, so it was probably more of the unknown, fear of the unknown, and not being able to help, I guess.
And I find in the school setting too, what I've seen over the last few years is once some of those younger students can see some older students following those dreams, they almost feel like, oh, I can do that. You know, I've got a role model right in front of me who was, you know, grade 12 2 years ago or something like that, and they followed that path. They could have done a lot of different things, but they did follow that dream. So I think that really helps them as well. I just want to think in terms of those alternate pathways, did you have any, I know you both came from very supportive environments where they were like, yeah, no, go for it, you know, but maybe a little bit of a plan B. Did you have people suggesting what they thought that plan B should be for you? Like, were there any sort of weird and wacky pathways that they were like, you would make a great lawyer?
No, not really. I don't think so. I think Mum, like early on in the day, says, oh, you know, you could do teaching. And I looked at her like, I can't be a teacher. I've just done 12 years of school. But, that's a gap year help with that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not really. Not anything forced on me, not anything suggested. I didn't actually have many people in my family that completed it at tertiary education. So that was in the back of my head. I just, you know, something else I wanted to be able to do as well for myself. I guess that's that competitive nature and that nature that you have to be at an elite level of whatever you do. You have that, I guess, that ability to, you know, succeed, and you want to I didn't necessarily do great in grade 12, but I finished it and I completed it, and I, you know, did it the best I could amongst a million other things, I guess. But those people have that drive, I think, and, you know, I had to talk to some of the kids that I work with and coaching and that now, and, you know, you've got to make this work. Your schooling is important. They're like, oh, but, you know, we can do this. I'm like, yeah, but you want to be able, if you want to succeed in basketball or in a sport, you need to be able to succeed at a number of things, I think, because it shows your dedication. And if you really want it, this is going to show how you can do it, and the work you need to prepare to put in once you leave school as well.
And I think, you know, and I don't know if the both of you would agree, but when you see people at those higher levels, that drive, that determination, they're making a lot of things work. They're not just making one thing work. Would you agree, Sarah?
Oh, 100%. I think it's that, like what you were saying, Aneka, sorry, and I called you Aneka earlier. I apologise for that.
That's all right.
I think it's that, that's where that sort of like, I'm committed to this, so I'm going to see it through. So like finishing school or doing those outside of school curricular activities that go towards that, like you do make it work, because that's that sort of natural, competitive, natural go-getter attitude that you have, I think.
Definitely. Sarah, did you have any other pathways that people were suggesting to you, or did they just know there is no point? She's got her eye on the prize and there's no point even mentioning anything else?
They did bring up the, you know, teaching, and I do think at some point down the track I will get into that, because passion sparks passion, and it's like what you're doing, Anika. It's like you're passionate about it, so of course you're going to be good at teaching that. But one that did always make me laugh is they really did try to say, you could be a great speech pathologist. And I was like, that is just so left field.
Where did that come from? Yeah.
I have no idea. I think because it had something to do with the voice, and I was like, I understand, but no.
No, that's not for me. What about the best advice you've received? You know, was there a particular person or a particular conversation where you can look back and go, that was the best, advice I received? in following this pathway and following this dream. And Aneka, did you have anything that you can recollect?
No, not really. I'm trying to think of that the other day, and I think it was more just to consider life after basketball because of the short time frame. I think that got me thinking a bit more, okay, I do need to consider, like I'm one injury away from not being able to compete at the highest level, or I've got this so long before, I want to finish. And at the time when I was playing, it's, I want to look to start a family as well. So for me, it wasn't a choice to be able to have a family and come back. I didn't think I was in the position. So I wanted to play as long as I could before I started to go down that road. Thankfully, things are changing. The WNBL, they have children on the road with the mums and things. So there was I guess it's like any sort of trailblazers that come before me even, the things they slowly pick up and they're slowly improving. But back when I was thinking that's sort of started, I'm only in grade 12 starting university, but thinking, if I, have children or something, or, I've only got this sort of part where I can really just make it mine and do the best that I can. So, so it was really just consider life after basketball and what you can do, and, shoot your shot and see how you go. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Sarah, was there anything for you that really stands out as a piece of advice that you've always sort of held with you?
I think there's two that always come to my mind. It was actually from Sandy Neal, who was, my mentor and now one of my very good friends and was teaching at Ryan at the time. We used to say these two things all the time, which is, one, what's meant for you will never pass you by. So right place, right time.
Yep.
So kind of what you're saying, Aneka, where it's like, if it's there, do it, grab it and do it. Don't miss the opportunity, seize it. And then the other one is actually a quote from King Lear, a Shakespeare, if you will, which is nothing can come from nothing. So, you can get out as much as you put in. And I think that always stuck with me. And I love that quote because it's true.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
As much as you apply yourself is as much you're going to be able to get out of it. So
it seems like over the years you've, whether it's, really vivid conversations you can remember or quotes or things like that, or just that consistent support being there, that's really, helped you along the way in just keeping that focus.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make the kids think, the opportunity needs to be there straight away or it's not there either. Like I've got friends that played for the Australian national team and have played at other Olympic Games, but they did it later in their career as well. So, now that the opportunities are there, if your dream is there, you can keep going for it. So, but they might do it. They might flip it around and concentrate on their studies straight up, but still work in the background, keep working at what your dream is. Because for the female basketballers, and that now those opportunities are there too. So you can keep working, and they just might come a bit later as well. So.
That's a really good point to make.
I don't want people to think that it needs to be there then and there, or it's not there at all.
100%. I agree with you. And it's like what I was saying earlier, no one's journey is the same. Some people go off and do 3 or 4 degrees before they even, in my field anyway, before they book their first show. And there's so many stories about performers trying for years and years and years and not booking something until they're 30 or 40, but that doesn't mean it's any less valid or I just think that's cool. I think it's awesome that everyone's journey is so different.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for students to understand that there's no blueprint to this. There's no blueprint to life. We find the pathway and the way to do it that works for us, and no one blueprint is better or more awesome than the other. It's what suits you and what works for you.
Yeah, I love that.
Now, for both of you, obviously, in the areas that you have just, excelled in, there's down days. There's days of I've got an injury, I'm worrying about an injury. There's days, Sarah, of where is that next audition? Where is that next job coming from? And things like that. Sarah, how do you handle those days?
I mean, they're hard, but it's just that thing, that fire that bubbles away in your belly is saying, you know what? Don't forget we're human as well. Some days you're sick. Some days you can't sing. Some days we all get COVID. Some days you're injured. but it's just reminding yourself, like, this is, zoom out. That's another thing that I sort of live by. Zoom out and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
This is a moment, like, it may feel huge right now, but don't forget all the work that you've done before and all the opportunities that are to come. I think that's something I have to remind myself, and I do it, weekly. That doesn't disappear.
No, that's really good advice. Aneka, do you have anything to add to that, or is it a little bit similar?
Yeah, really similar. I think as I come out of grade 12 and was talking about that gap year, I was the last person dropped to be at the Sydney Olympics. I was super young, but I thought that was my chance, and that's everything I'd been building for the last few years to go to this Olympics, and I thought it was over, and, I was absolutely gutted. But I took that time, and then look at, like Sarah said, you looked at the bigger picture. Everything's okay. I'm okay. I'm going to get another shot at. I'm going to just change my journey. Like, it might just take a different little path, and we go somewhere else. And I did. I got back in there, got playing again, and then made the 2004 Olympics, which I didn't think was on the cards. I didn't think that New Zealand would be going to the Athens Olympics, but the world works in mysterious ways. But if I had have just given up, I wouldn't have got that opportunity. So I think it is important. Sometimes you need a mental break, you need a break, but just to regather, find your support system, find your people, and then, if it's your dream, you just get back on the horse and, keep going, I guess. Like, you just never know what life's going to throw your way, I guess.
And I think what I can hear from both of you is, obviously, again, that mindset, the drive, the determination. This is just a bump in the road. This is not the end. This is not, everything falling to pieces. Seeing that bigger picture, and that, that's what really, really helps you through those days.
Definitely.
We've talked about that drive and determination, that mindset. Can you name any other personal attributes that you think I really tap into that, or I tapped into that a lot? It wasn't just drive and determination. There was a few other variables in there that I needed.
I think for me, it was just that positivity. I think to think positive, to think it's not the end of the world, to think, to be grateful for so many things in my life and my opportunities. I'm getting to play basketball. I'm not getting paid to play basketball to live on, but right now this is where I'm at, and the journey's changing. But I think that positivity was a big attribute, and I guess that comes from surrounding myself with positive people, and to surround myself with my people and people that are there on my side. Whether they like what I'm doing or not, but they're my cheerleaders, and and I think if you've got those people and who you can lean on, you're in a good place.
No, that sounds wonderful. Sarah, do you have anything that you'd add to that as well?
Yeah, that was beautiful. I think, sorry, it's just gone from my head. What was the question again? Remind me.
This is about any other personal attributes. We know the drive and determination, but some other things that,
right.
Played a big part as well.
Yeah, I think for me, I always talk about this too. I call it my creative beast, and I need to feed it. So whatever that is, if that's, doing karaoke with my friends in the lounge room, or doing that one gig, or anything like that. I think people that pursue the arts, I think we all have that creative beast. And I think we need to feed it. And it doesn't matter how big or small the win is. I think, I don't know. I think it's something that you can't be taught. I think that's sort of there. I think
it's innate. No, I love it.
Yeah.
Just, as we start wrapping up the podcast a little bit, this is a great opportunity where there are students hopefully listening to this, where they are contemplating, some of the pathways that you found such absolute success in. Parents and caregivers listening as well, where maybe their children are contemplating some of those pathways. This is your opportunity now. What advice would you give? A bit twofold. What advice would you give those students who are listening and contemplating these pathways? And what advice would you give to their parents and caregivers who are maybe a little bit unsure or not knowing how to handle it? And Sarah, I might go to you first.
Yeah, sure. So I think the advice that I would give is just grab all of the opportunities that you have. I can speak from firsthand experience growing up in Townsville. There is so much available in the way of performing opportunities. dance classes, singing classes, acting classes. There are opportunities to perform and fail, because I think failing is a big part of learning. And it's like you have the time to like make your toolkit now where it's safe. You have your safety network, you have your friends, your family, your chosen family. I think just grab as many opportunities as you can and learn and succeed and fail where it's safe before you go off and try and make a career out of it. And I think for family and parents, I think all you can do is support them and help them in that. Like, when you're excited about something and you tell someone that you love and they're excited with you, I think that's the best thing you can do. You can be realistic as well and be like, we can do this and we can do this, and also like offering those other options as well. But being excited, I think the worst thing you can do for someone that wants to pursue the arts is shut it down or not give them some sort of outlet, because it's that creative beast I'm talking about. When it's not fed, that's where mental health starts coming into the question. You're not feeling fulfilled, you're not feeling seen and heard in that way. So I think that's my advice.
No, I think that's spot on. And I know that when I work with students too, I always talk about that. What is your dream? What is your passion? What do you love? What are you interested in? Because that's what you want as your career. That you want that match. Absolutely. Aneka, did you have anything you wanted to add there on what your advice would be?
Yeah, my advice would be to lean on people in Townsville. So like we've got people like the Townsville Fire and the North Queensland Cowboys, so elite programs in their chosen sport or their given sport. But even if you're not a part of that sport, talk to those people in that arena. So talk to people that might have connections to those clubs that can guide you on what these people do. Because I think now, like we've talked about the online learning and things like that, but there's also like the WNBL, the Townsville Fire's linked to the JCU University, and what these organisations can offer, development players and things to start their university degree. And there's a lot of the WNBL teams are linked with universities. So, you might have those options. What are these clubs and these sporting for all different, I'm talking all different sports, but what can those organisations do for your education as well? Like how can you get in the door with and maybe have both? So I think, talk to people around. You've got people like at Ryan Catholic College, you've got another great person to speak to is Jenny Froling. She's had 4 children go through playing college basketball as well, and all 4 play in the NBL. So she's lived that as a parent as well. But there's many other people, and Ryan's a big community that, we can put people in touch with to speak to what they've gone and what they've done with their careers. And it's such an exciting time to have a child that I guess that's saying, I want to play for the Cowboys or I want to play for the Fire. Like that's a determination, and that's something that you can foster into lots of other things in their life as well. So you can put that drive into, but it might also drive them into another degree and find something that they love as well. So
and look, that was the reason I wanted to do this podcast. I could just see a real need for it, that there was probably a lot of people in our community needing to hear your stories, needing to hear that advice, to go for it, and to go for that for that dream, and then use that drive and determination to get there. So I just want to thank you both very much. I have sat here and I'm inspired, listening to both of you share those stories, share those insights and those experiences. I want to thank you so much for your time, because I know you're both very, very busy people with a million things that you're trying to juggle at the moment, and for you to take time out of your day to do our podcast, on behalf of myself, but also the Ryan community, I really wanted to thank you both for it. And Sarah, in particular you, because you are down in Melbourne and we have different time zones going on and all those different things. So, I really, really do appreciate your time today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm very proud to be a Ryan alumni and to sit amongst, both of you and hear about your whole side of it. And it's awesome. I appreciate it, and I had a great time.
Well, Sarah, I'd love it if the next time you're up in Townsville, if you let us know. Love to get you in here, I'm sure.
All right. Okay.
Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
Right.
And I think too, it's really good for our listeners and our community to hear is, look at the people who are in our community, such as the two of you. You would walk by people and they may not even realise all of the exceptional things that you have achieved. And from listening to this, they get it and they go, oh my goodness, there's connections and there's people that we could network with or talk to and learn about some things that we didn't know about before. So to me, it's just, it's an opportunity to really help a lot of people who are considering these pathways. So I thank you both very, very much from the bottom of my heart. I wish you a lovely Christmas break. Sarah, I hope you get a bit of a break over Christmas as well.
Yeah, think of me. I've got a lot of Christmas carols in my head right now.
I can imagine. So thank you very much. Yeah, I wish you a lovely Christmas and I wish you a beautiful 2027.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Same to you.